Question 6. Love, guilt, feelings, where do these come from? Well, they're part of our biological heritage. They're the things that make us survive. If we love our loved ones, we'll take care of them, and they're more likely to survive and more likely to procreate. If we feel guilty for doing wrong things that are bad for the tribe and bad for our survival, then that's a built-in punishment that makes us behave in ways that are more likely to make us survive. Those have worked pretty well so far because human beings have been around for 100,000 years. Religion in the actual age was created about 2,500 years ago, which means that for about 90-some% of the existence of mankind, we relied primarily on our instincts to survive morally, and we did a pretty good job. You said, who decides what's morally right or wrong? Is it the majority? Well, think about it. If we created all of these religions, then we never really got any morality from any other source other than ourselves. If a certain group of people say, oh, I'm a prophet, or we're the priests who know what the prophets have said, those people are effectively deciding what is morally and what isn't morally correct. It's just that they're lying and saying that they're prophets, or that they know the words of the prophets, or they may even believe that they're hearing God and they're psychotic, or they may believe that the psychotic people who have said they heard God were telling the truth. They may be telling the truth. But nevertheless, they are making the decision. And by getting large numbers of people to believe that, mostly by indoctrinating them as children through brainwashing, which a culture is nothing more than a series of brainwashing techniques within a society to get everybody on the same page so that everybody can interact together using the same belief system. The only difference between that kind of scenario and the scenario that an atheist would suggest who believes in democracy is that we publicly discuss, debate, and democratically decide what the rules should be, what the laws should be, what the morality should be. We decide what's the best way to raise children, and then experts who work with raising children, who use the scientific method, can then go out and educate people. It's pretty simple, I think. If you were God, what would you do about evil and wrong in the world? And that is, I would eliminate it completely. There is no reason for it to exist. If I am a God that is both moral and merciful, and I am all-powerful, then I would have absolutely no excuse other than to simply get rid of it. You said, what would you change? I would give everybody everlasting life. I would make everybody happy. I would be in everyone's house every day. I would be at everyone's beck and call. I would exist everywhere and at all times. I would be visible. I would be seen. I wouldn't be like the God of the Yahweh God, who is effectively a deadbeat dad. He created us and then he took off. It's very simple. I'd make everything perfect. Why not? Why not be merciful? Why not make everything perfect? The fact that everything isn't perfect is in fact one of the best arguments that there is in fact no God, or if there is a God, he's a son of a bitch and he doesn't give a shit about us at all. Number 9, if God did exist, would you have the desire to know him? Absolutely not. I would. Well, let me take that back. I would have the desire to know him just out of curiosity, but I certainly would not worship him, and I certainly wouldn't advocate for him. If he's a God and he created this universe with all of the sufferings for people, then he's an asshole, and he deserves every amount of condemnation and derision that we can give him. That doesn't necessarily mean we can't talk to him. I mean, maybe we could convince him to do the right thing and to make everything better. Interestingly enough, God isn't going to let me know him. God isn't going to come down and sit in my room and let me know him, because he doesn't exist, first of all, and secondly, apparently, if he does exist, he doesn't do that. So he really doesn't want to be known. So Christians and other Islamic people who claim that they pray and they meditate and they do all this shit, and then they know God. You can't know someone unless you're sitting with them face to face, or you have some kind of access to their mind. People who sit around meditating and praying and claim they have access to some kind of supernatural being, I think, are being a little silly and a little ridiculous. What they're really saying is they have access to their own fantasies. If you could get rid of one religion, what would it be? And the answer is that I would get rid of all of them. But the one that seems to be doing the most damage right now is Islam. But I think it would be grossly unfair to say that Islam should go when Christianity could be just as dangerous, taking into consideration that there are Christians with their fingers on nuclear arsenals. But give Islamic people, give them their due. They're getting nuclear weapons really quickly. So yeah, it would probably be Islam, but I would rather just get rid of all of them and replace a religious worldview with the rational one. If you look at the countries that have a rational, atheist, agnostic worldview, like Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, the Netherlands, etc., those societies are the ones that have created the most civilized societies. Pick a religion. I wouldn't. That's the whole point. Religion is bullshit. Why believe in bullshit? If I had to pick a philosophy to believe in, I would want that philosophy to be derived from science. Now, given that, if I had to look at what belief system out there that I know of is the most... I'm a psychologist, by the way. The belief system that is the closest to what scientists in my field see as being truthful about the human condition would be basic Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, etc. That's the only thing that even remotely comes close to being scientifically derived. And interestingly enough, the Dalai Lama is interested in the scientific study of Buddhist ideas. He's the only religious leader and the only religion that is willing to put their ideas to the test. When the Dalai Lama was asked, what would you do if you came up with scientific evidence that contradicted your views? And he said, I would alter my views and I would start to teach people differently. That's a very interesting response. It's very unique. Well, that's it for the atheist answers. I hope that clarifies for people who are not atheists how at least this one atheist thinks. And I think atheists are very misunderstood. I think there's a tendency to want to vilify or demonize us, or at least make us arrogant or idiots. For those of you who think that way, I would suggest that you really ask yourselves whether that's just a defense mechanism in order to try to dismiss what we say. Also, it's a way of trying to look down on another group of people so you don't have to admit that maybe what they say might actually make some kind of sense, even if you don't agree with it. Anyway, this is Skeptic Sage saying that, as I always do at the end of my videos, that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and I wish you peace.